All right, what is up, everybody? This is Alex once again for what feels like forever ago. Back with another episode of the EOT News Flash. This is episode 66. Jesus, take the wheel. Yeah. Want to welcome my co-host immediately to my right, if you're watching this on YouTube, Mr. Busted Sleeves. What's going on, Sean?
How's it going?
Good to be back. Good to be back.
Yes, it's been a long time.
It's been a month.
Yeah. Various travel and standardized testing and weddings, and yeah, it's been a time.
Yep. And immediately beneath Mr. Busted Sleeves, we have Mr. Pierce himself, Mr. Spell Pierce. What's going on, Steven?
Howdy. Heck.
Break up a little bit. Your mic's kind of cutting out there, but hopefully that won't be too much of an issue.
Oh, okay.
I think we're good though. We're doing.
He's
good.
perfect until we start. I think he's afraid of the light.
It's good to be back.
It is good to be back.
It's been a while.
Yes. And then moving clockwise from Mr. Pierce, Mr. Forkenrath, underneath me. How's it going, Justin?
Going pretty good. Life's good, you know.
Life is
I'm
good.
happy.
We're back on the air after a month of being off the air. As Sean said, there was a lot going on. I was out for work. I was in Texas. Then I was back here. Then back in Texas again, and just all kinds of good stuff. Yeah.
A lot of magic. Too.
Yes, lots of magic being played. Yeah. So lots of stuff to talk about tonight. We have got the sunset of Modern Masters 2017. As it rides off into the sunset, not very ceremoniously, I have to admit. We've got Amonkhet spoilers to go over. We have all the mechanics. We've got gods. We have split cards. We have stupid planeswalkers. We've got cartouches and trials, and it's a weird set, but it's gonna be really cool. So we're going to dive into all of that tonight and possibly more, depending on what happens. But first, let's talk about Modern Masters 2017, which kind of came in with a big bang. We were all really excited about it. We had Fetch Lands and Tarmogoyfs and Lilianas, and everything was super exciting. And it's been out for a month or less? And now it's just like I said, it was running off to the sunset and then got shot halfway there, and it's kind of laying there in the desert now. So despite that, it's rather unceremonious, exit. What did you guys think about it? I'm gonna go to Sean. What were your final thoughts about the Modern Masters in general?
I thought it was enjoyable. It's like a short print run, so obviously you're not going to be able to get as much exposure time as you want. Here in Texas, we had 3 major tournaments all around the same time as the release, so we just didn't have open time to go play it. But the set was fun. It was enjoyable. That was probably my favorite Modern Masters, or I think it's my favorite of these Masters series that they've done as far as limited play.
Oh, easily, yeah.
Because there's so much mana fixing, so you can kind of go any direction you want to. You can do a 5-color. You can try to go synergy. It was really enjoyable, I thought, to play the individual games. It was really intricate. The drafts itself were fun. Mm-hmm. And the cards, it felt like there were less duds in every pack I opened as far as drafts and things like that went.
Yeah, absolutely. And as opposed to that, the bombs that you had, when the bombs are bombing, that's always been a kind of an issue with these sets, but it's still cool.
Yeah, it's solid removal. It was great.
Yeah, for sure. What about you, Steve? What are your final thoughts on Modern Masters 2017?
Take every Eyes in the Sky ever. That card's awesome.
That card is pretty good.
It was pretty fun. I got to draft it once in paper and then twice on Magic Online. Mm-hmm. It was rather interesting as far as this Masters series. I feel actually rewarded you for staying in 2 colors, mainly because of how the other Masters series have trained everyone to be in 5 colors. Mm-hmm. So if you stay dedicated, you could actually pick up some really good cards, and it's just a sweet way to be able to round out your deck in the 9th, 10th picks whenever you typically weren't going to be doing that. You just be scraping for, whatever's left.
Yeah,
so
definitely, yeah. What about you, Justin? Final thoughts on Modern Masters 2017?
So I drafted it once and I bought a box. I thought that the box was awesome. Opening it had a ton of value. There was a winter box I went to, opened up some packs at that. Got some good value there too. The draft that I did, it was a lot of fun, but the most valuable thing I opened was a Thragtusk, and I played to this 4-color aggro populate list that just kind of shut everyone else out because it was too fast. But it was a lot of fun. But it's an expensive event, and when apparently March is the busiest time of year for Texas Magic, And like I'm having to choose between, well, I could spend $35 on Friday to do a draft, or I can, spend $40 on Saturday and go to a major event. I'm gonna lean towards the major event.
Yeah. For anybody who doesn't know, we had an SCG Open, followed the next week by the Hunter Burton Memorial Tournament, and then the next
10K.
Which is the 10K.
For people who aren't aware of that tournament, it's a 10K SCG.
Yeah, it is probably the biggest non-professional, GP or Pro Tour event probably in the country, I would say. Could be wrong, but it's pretty close.
And it's also a charity.
And it's also a charity, yeah. It's really for a really good cause. And then we also had GP San Antonio the very next weekend. So it was a busy week for you Texas guys. Down here in Florida, it was a little bit more relaxed. There was a couple of the shops in the area firing 4 and 5 drafts a day, which was pretty cool. I got to do one GPT just due to my schedule, which was a lot of fun. It's the same problem with all the master sets, is where the bombs are absolutely ridiculous. I finally bowed out to my opponent, who had double Broodmate Dragon and Desecration Demon. But I did get to live the dream where I was able to entreat the Angels, miracling it, and then found my Hell Rider the next turn. Like, I called shot, and it happened. And it was sweet. So, it's great. And I open boxes, too. You can go to the YouTube channel and watch a whole box of Modern Masters. It's me just talking about cards I think are cool and being surprised when I open fetch lands, which was great. So... I would say that we're going to give Modern Masters 2017 a resounding double thumbs up. Yeah?
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yep.
All right. Until next year when we get Eternal Masters 2 and we see what they can do with that. So, who wants to talk about Amonkhet?
I do.
Yeah. So, spoiler season kicked off. It's been kicked off for about almost 2 weeks now. We got a couple of spoilers last week. We got the masterpieces all completely blown out. I didn't realize this, but they were all given to different streamers, and that's how they were all revealed. I had no idea, and it was some of the artists were revealing the card art. So it was kind of a cool slow roll. But we are officially knee deep into spoiler season. So we're going to break down the mechanics first. We're going to go into a couple of highlight cards from each of those mechanics. We're talking about the Invocations. We do know all is it 30 or 25 of them this go around? I think it's 30 in this set. 25 reprints and then 5 new ones. I think that's right.
Yeah, I think that's right.
That's
Let
how
me
it
see the
works,
collector
yeah.
number.
And then we've all got some favorite cards we're going to touch on to round out the night. But it's Amonkhet Mania. We are on the home of Nicol Bolas, his artificial plane where he is God Pharaoh. Sean has his own theories about what's going on.
Who could have seen Nicol Bolas coming? This is crazy. What? You mean Tezzeret and then Nicol Bolas? It would be in that order for these guys to fight? Somebody's real smart in that R&D department.
You sure that's not a story development?
Sorry?
Story
Well,
development?
wouldn't story development, because it's all about the Justice League now?
Look,
Yeah.
whenever you call your shot, then you can brag. Otherwise, leave me alone. I'm giving it to the R&D. They get credit.
Yeah, no, I did read. I read on the Mothership Magic site is that originally Amonkhet came before Kaladesh for whatever reason, but then they realized that it wouldn't make any sense, and they had to switch it around. Not that it really matters, just something interesting to think about.
Maybe they had decided like flavor wise, and they hadn't set the story arc yet.
I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
So
When they realized the story arc, they're like, well, Tezzeret has to be on the artifact plane.
yeah,
And Bolas loves himself, so he'd be a god on some other plane. So
yeah. I think it had to do with the
And
fact
it would've
that
been
was
really
also
weird.
Chandra's home plane as well.
yeah.
Yeah. It would have been strange to go straight from Eldrazi, biggest menace in the multiverse, to Bolas, biggest menacing planeswalker in the multiverse. All right, we did them both. Now what?
Artifact plane.
Yeah, exactly.
The story for the
And where
set
we're going to
after
crush
Amonkhet's
your
going to be
hopes and
interesting.
dreams.
I'm intrigued where we go.
Yeah, there's some flavor text that's kind of hinted towards the fact that there are. I'm gonna try and find it here real quick. That there are like passages of hours on Amonkhet. So we have let's see, When
the throne of the god.
Yeah, the throne of the god pharaoh. When the second sun rests between the horns on the horizon, so Nicol Bolas's horns, so begins the hour of revelation, then the hour of glory, the hour of promise, and finally the hour of eternity. There's no mention of the hour of devastation, which I think could come after that, and we just haven't. They don't think it's coming. And I think just devastation is gonna be like Nicol Bolas is gonna blow up the plane and try to take out the Gatewatch with it. So whatever.
I mean,
Well, it's probably like go for it, Justin.
I was going to say it's going to be like a solar eclipse. You know, because you said they were measured by the suns.
Yeah, the sun will come to rest in between the two horns.
Yeah.
Wait, does the sun set on Amonkhet? Are any of these cards taking place at night? Oh, that's an well, there's like dusk and dawn, but there's no. That's interesting.
There's Archfiend of Ilfnir.
Ifnir.
Yeah, but he could be like in a dungeon or crypt.
That's true.
Yeah.
Same thing with Lay Bare
So
the Heart.
I think what because we have the art on Mind Twist suggests that there's stuff further out into the desert, and so it might be darker there where the suns don't shine, and that's where they keep talking about like all the crazy demonic things. Like if you look at Maelstrom Pulse, the art on that suggests that there's these crazy beasts and spirits outside of
we'll get to those. Because obviously Mind Twist and Maelstrom Pulse are not standard cards. At least they probably shouldn't be. So we'll get to those. But let's jump into some mechanics first. Let's talk about Embalm first. And I'm going to pull up one of the cards here. We're going to look at True Heart Duelists here.
They've been printing a lot of Grizzly Bears with upside lately.
Right?
Yeah.
So Embalm is an activated ability that occurs in the graveyard. So when the creature dies, you can activate its Embalm cost, and you exile from the graveyard, and you return it to the battlefield, but it's a zombie instead. But it has the same ability, so True Heart Duelist can block an additional creature each combat, so its zombie version can just do that as well. And so it's a 1 and a white 2/2 like Sean said, and I can show you guys if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see the token for this. And of course every Embalm card has a token version of it that you find in the packs. I'm kind of curious why they just didn't do this as flip cards, personally. Just, the transform cards. Seems like a missed opportunity there.
It's because they're tokens. I think it's supposed to make it so that they can be removed through other means. Like you can't blink an embalmed card.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. Actually, I didn't think about that.
Mm-hmm. It's to make sure that, and if you're going to make it tokens, if you're going to make it flip cards, you would still have to make the tokens for sleeve purposes.
Oh,
so if you're going to do that, you might as well just clean it up.
And this is and I think this is pretty cool here. It's effectively creature flashback. What are you guys' thoughts on Embalm here?
I think it's pretty cool. It's going to be, it is going to give control players pre-sideboard some trouble because it's like, I remove your threats. Oh, you just brought them back. But I think it's going to be a fun mechanic. It'll be interesting. I don't think it's going to be Cancer, but we'll see.
Well, it's currently only in white, so there's not a bunch of them yet. And it was kind of like Justin was saying, Control has just not got many good things going on right now. Between vehicles, between not wide open removal spells, between a bomb, between really good planeswalkers, between a combo that could kill them if they try to put a threat into play and they tap down.
Yeah.
Between Mark Rosewater saying that Drago Control won't happen in Standard again.
Don't ever listen to that guy. That guy's a joke. Don't listen to that guy. You can't make a statement like that because that's a stupid sentence. You just look like an idiot when you say that because it's they can't physically keep that from happening. They either can't print control cards at all, or eventually somebody's gonna find a Drago deck.
Yeah.
But he needs to stop saying, he needs to stop
cracks,
these. So one of my favorite quotes in all time is Quentin Tarantino, and he says, "The less a man makes declarative statements, or the more a man makes declarative statements, the more likely he is to look like a fool in retrospect."
Yes.
And so Mark Rosewater looks like a fool all the time because he constantly says, "This is never happening again, and that was the worst thing that's ever happened, and we fixed this problem." And it's what if we just go, we think we've done this, and for a while this won't happen, because it always looks dumb whenever they end up undoing it.
Yeah, and to kind of touch briefly on just like what the problem with having a control deck right now is. I think when they went from the rotation that they had worked so hard on, like it was going to be 2 sets and that was it, and then shifted back to the old rotation, which now we have 4 sets, which creates this very interesting triple Gideon standard we're going to run into here in the next couple of weeks. And I know Justin's ready to talk about that new Gideon.
Oh, there's another Gideon in the works. Don't worry about it. There'll be 4.
Oh, there's 4? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Great.
There's another one.
Fantastic. I just think when you have that many sets and that much of a balancing act to try and figure out, you can't have a control deck that can cover all those angles. And
you do, though. Normally, like in Standard, whenever you have this many sets, you have a control deck. The problem is every set has control hate right now.
That's
what's killing it.
Yeah.
Like 4 sets, we've normally
And
had
the
a control deck
power
that's in there.
Yeah, the power creep is absolutely
it's
real
so
too. Yeah.
far in the creature's advantage at the moment.
I mean, we have Tower, but the problem is, like, and Tower's got good matchups. The problem is there's new hate cards for Tower, and then there's these Embalm cards.
Yep.
There's not a lot of cards that, like, realistically help Tower in a good time frame.
Yeah.
So it's control just keeps getting slapped around, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the way Magic to go. When you want to be able to watch a game of Magic, you don't want to see people just playing lands and passing and casting draw spells. You want to see things happening on the board, which is, from a spectator standpoint, you want to see that, which is fine. But at the same time, it kind of alienates a certain sect of players.
I just kind of accepted that being able to commentate on Magic is going to be difficult.
Oh yeah.
Until like you get the interactive hand like displays and stuff.
Yes, no, I definitely agree with that. Yeah. But let's go on to another mechanic. Let's talk about Exert. And we're going to look at Glorybringer here. Glory, hallelujah. This is a giant dragon, 3 red, 4/4. This is the top 8 game day promo. I can't really fit the whole thing in the picture right now, so just bear with me here. Has flying and haste, and you may exert Glorybringer as it attacks. And exert is you keep it tapped through your next turn, and there are little punch out tokens you can put on them to kind of denote that. And whenever you do exert it, it deals 4 damage to target non-dragon creature an opponent controls.
I have a feeling.
All right, moving on. What was that, Steven?
I said I have a feeling Drew's gonna like this card.
Yeah,
it's a little mana cost, but
5 mana. I don't know if Drew's even touching that card. That's
I know. I said it was a little high. It was a little high.
The exert mechanic so far. There's one card that I'm kind of interested in, but for the most part, I'm gonna have to find some shenanigans that happens with it for it to be worth it.
Yeah.
And limited.
Are you saying you're gonna be watching for?
Hey, you know what's up. You know what's up. Don't worry about it. You hush.
Okay.
Yeah, there is the one
that Griff's not in
this
creature,
so kind of gets around
that
mechanic.
The upside is the exerts are all like maze, so you just play them as these other creatures, and then if the effect swings the game for you, you use it, and if it doesn't, you just keep using them as a regular grizzly bear, 4/4 haste dragon. Yeah. I mean, 5-drop 4/4 flying haste dragons have been good before.
It is worth noting, exert has to be declared at attack. You can't do it after attack is declared.
It's like all of the energy used, guys.
Yeah. And that's actually a really good point. So you can't try and trick somebody up with that, but this is a super sweet mechanic. I know that we were trying to figure out if you could print an ancient tomb in standard with exert, and let's not get back into that conversation because that lasted way too long that night, guys.
Well, that was mainly because we all had different templates for it, and we weren't clear on what template we were using. But I
don't even remember what mine was, but it was the best one, and I think we need to discuss it. So I need somebody to remind me of it, so I can try to get this job.
Nope.
Steven, what did I say? Quote me, please.
It was something like pay to no. It was colorless. Was just as generic. If you decided to use 2 mana, it exerted.
So anyways, cycling.
Cycling's back in standard.
Okay, that's fine, I guess. Let's talk about lame crap.
Oh, and it dealt 2 to you. That was your other stipulation.
Yeah.
It came in tapped.
Okay.
Yes, and it came in tapped. Yep.
So cycling is back in standard. For those newer players, cycling allows you to pay a cost on it. It's effectively turns every card that has cycling into a modal spell. Some of them have colored requirements. Some of them have just 2 generic mana to cycle them, and you basically discard it and draw a new card. And as a great example of this, we have brand new allied colored dual lands that cycle, come to play tapped, but they have the basic land types on them. These are fetchable.
So, real quick, cycling, because I remember I started in Zendikar, and cycling confused me and a lot of people. Cycling is discarding the card from your hand.
Yes.
So a lot of new players are like, oh, I can cycle these things in play because I'm discarding them to the graveyard.
No.
Has to be from your hand, and it's an activated ability of the card, which means you can activate it in instant speed.
Yes.
So you can do it at the end of your opponent's turn, and it can get like summary dismissaled and stuff.
Yes, you can stop this, but
you can disallow.
Disallow, summary disallow.
You just know someone's gonna get blown out by that. You know what's gonna happen.
I've played decks
disallowing draw one.
So,
but like I've just played decks where like they have the cyclings, and there's opponents who are like, or players who like think they could just do it from play.
yeah.
If they've never done cycling before, you think it's an ability for something in play, because it's rarely you see abilities in hand that aren't spells. It's weird.
Yeah, and I think if it was a way around where you could do it from play, it would say sacrifice this card, then draw a card. I think that would be kind of an interesting mechanic.
Sacrifice, pay this, draw a card.
Pay a cost, sacrifice it, and draw a card. Yeah, that's like.
I feel like that'd be too good.
Yeah, and it's like it's just like clue tokens, which but you're actually giving up an actual resource here. So I'm gonna go to Justin first here. Cycling in general. What are your thoughts on cycling here?
My immediate thought is Living End. Anytime I hear the word cycling, but other than that, I think cycling's a pretty sweet mechanic. Because sometimes, it's like, let's say you're playing against a control matchup and you have a kill spell that has cycling on it, and it's just like, well, the control player doesn't have anything to kill, so I'm going to pitch this and draw another card, and I think that's really cool.
Wait, are you going to cast it out of your hand?
Are
you going to cast it out of your hand?
Oh, God damn it.
We just talked about this. All right, Steven, what do you think about cycling? I wish I had one of those pardon the interruption buttons. I can just silence Justin for a second. I need to render silence.
Cycling's cool. I haven't had a chance to play with it before, outside of Modern.
Yeah.
And I think it's a really neat mechanic. It's definitely one that I'd like to see be evergreen, but you have to be really careful with how you do that.
Yes.
So I'm excited. It should be neat. I think it's really weird that all of the rares and stuff are whenever you cycle or discard a card. I know that discarding is part of cycling, but I think they should have just said cycle.
No. Synergy, bro.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
Yeah, I know
Don't
it's
touch
synergy,
my synergy.
Has to put with madness.
It's really. I think it's really, but I think that might bite them. It might bite them.
No. The cycling and discarding is sweet. That's super cool. Yeah. I'm real glad they put that on there. They could have very easily not, but it makes these zombie decks from Innistrad way better. The cool thing with cycling is you can your control deck that runs 27 lands, you feel less bad about it. You can cycle. You can have these a lot of times cards that have cycle are normally not very great cards. There's only 1 or 2 okay ones, so you won't run a lot of cycling cards in constructed. Mm-hmm. But the big thing is in limited is they fill the role of morphs from the cons block. Where if you stumble, the morphs were these 3-drop grizzly bears you can play. So you stayed in games because people were in 4 and 5 color decks, so people were greedy and you needed to stay in the game, otherwise you get ran over. So as the cycling is if you stumble, you can just cycle this card, or this grizzly bear became bad, now I cycle this card and I draw a card. So it just keeps people in games. It lets them see more cards in the limited environment, which keeps their decks more consistent. So it's really, really good.
Yeah, and that was a question I had. And specifically for you, Sean, is when we were testing a lot of cons sealed for the PPTQ seasons or just PTQ seasons, we were really focusing a lot on those morph creatures because these are absolutely valuable and you can play them no matter what. So I guess the question to all of you guys, when you find cards that have cycling on them, and I'll try to find a couple here for us. does that up its effectiveness in the deck? Maybe it's not relevant. Like Justin said, I can't cast this spell right now, the skill spell, because my opponent has no targets for it. But I can cycle it away and get some value out of it. So I would say that the stock on these cards goes up immensely. So you have things like Scarab Feast.
I don't think immensely.
In limited, I would say.
I think it's a nice
constructed
benefit.
marginally.
Yeah.
I would say even in limited, it's a little bit. You don't want to go too ham because it's just discarding this card that has a known effect for a random card off the top is not what we want to do. You're cycling when you have a dead card or when you're behind and you're missing land drops. That's when you're cycling.
Yeah.
So if the card isn't a card that you want to cast realistically in the limited environment, you're not going to run it because it has cycling unless you're in some cycling combo deck.
Yeah.
But it gives it I would say it gives it a small uptick, but if you're not going to run the card for the card's sake, you don't want to run it for cycling because a random card off the top is probably never better than a known quantity in your hand, except for a card that's designed to be scaled poorly. And in those cases you will. But you're not going to run this card because you're I just want a cycler in my deck and I'll never actually cast this card.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. There's a couple of them, I know I forget the name of the card, but it's when you cast it, you gain 6 life, or you can cycle it, and when you cycle it, you gain 2 life. So I think it's the cards that have almost a split functionality. Those are the ones I think you can probably use a little bit more reliably.
Well, and that white one's pretty cool because it's I'm way behind, I gain 6 life, give myself some cushion. I'm still alive. I gain 2 life, and you still draw a card. It's still draws. It's not like cycling where it's a replacement of the draw you gain life. You do both.
Yeah.
So you gain 2 life and draw.
Renewed Faith is what it's called. There we go. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I said.
Oh, I'm sorry. So.
Yeah.
Sorry,
cycling cards are good.
I was excited because I didn't look.
Oh, I had no idea what it was called. So real quickly here, guys. What do you think about these new cycling dual lands? That they do have the basic lands types. They can be fetched. Obviously, that's not going to matter in Standard, but do you guys see implications for these in older formats?
Definitely.
Yes.
I am playing 2 of them in 2 different Eternal decks. So.
All right, then. Yeah,
Titan Breach loves this red-green one. Titan Breach loves it.
Yeah.
Fans love the red-green
is being played right now, and these just replace those, I think.
Yeah, they can't come into play untapped. I think you might run them in addition.
Yeah.
But the ability to sometimes they'll have trouble finding a way to actually win the game. They'll have all their ramp spells, and they'll have trouble doing anything else.
This is the land you get off of Farseek.
Oh, yeah.
Because you don't have a choice.
That's actually a good point, yeah.
Yeah, you can get this off Farseek, but then if you draw it, you can cycle it to try to find your threat. Replace you don't go up in land count. You just replace lands that can help you find your win cons.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I can see playing these in control decks. I know that Life from the Loam is not a $30 card because of these lands.
Yes, I have 6.
Yeah. Mine are sitting somewhere in a box, I'm sure. And people talk about this being played in this kind of aggro assault loam deck, which I think is really cool. So I see these having some far-reaching implications in
there's the Countryside Crusher. I've also seen there was a Goryo's Vengeance Seismic Assault Gitrog monster deck that was pretty sweet.
Yeah, because you get a Dredge too with whatever the black Dredge land is.
Darkmoor Salvage.
Yeah.
You go infinite with that. But and then these cards, even in Standard, running if you're trying to do some delirium stuff, the Evolving Wilds wasn't always phenomenal. But now you have this land that could turn on your Delirium for 2 mana and replacement.
And you get a draw.
Yeah. So the only unfortunate thing is it's not in the blue-red color, which is I think the blue-red tower deck would really have appreciated these lands.
Yeah, I think we'll see I think at some point we will see the continuation of this cycle. I would like to see it in Hour of Devastation because we got all the temples.
I don't think it'll be that soon.
It's not likely, but I'd like to see it. I have to admit.
I do hate when they half and half land cycles.
Yeah,
then it's
I agree. I definitely agree.
Because then in Eternal formats, half these decks get a bump and the other half of the decks don't. And
yeah, exactly.
I like the parity.
Yeah, we look at Theros block.
Probably
and we got all the temples in that set.
Yeah.
And it took.
But that was also the three set blocks.
Yeah.
I think Amonkhet could have been 3 sets. Yeah, most definitely we'd get all 10.
It's easier to split it up, yeah. But how many years was it between Scars of Mirrodin and Kaladesh to finally get the full cycle of this fast lands? That was 5 years, 6 years?
At least.
Too long, I think. But that's the point we're making here.
From Constructed, the debate I've seen is these lands or Scry lands in Standard, not in Eternal formats. In Standard, which of the lands is better?
Probably.
probably Scry, I think.
I think it's
Scryland,
Scry,
yeah.
Because this guy, you're losing a land drop to draw a card, and Scry 1 is normally like a half a card, so you're playing your land drop and getting a half draw, so it's probably just better. Because you don't have any fetch implications and land type matters. But these guys interact really well with the is it the shadow lands that check for land types?
Yes, they do. Yeah.
Yeah, these interact pretty well with the shadow lands. Like play the shadow land, reveal this land, sit on it for a while. If I don't need it, I just discard it later.
Yeah.
But because a lot of decks don't run a lot of basics, the battle lands just haven't been good enough.
Yeah. So these have implications in standard and all the formats. So I think these will be a great spec if you're into the more financial side of things. I think these are a great spec to kind of pick up now and at their pre-releases and when you're trading and whatnot and holding onto these because these will be worth something eventually.
It will probably dip over in the first few weeks. It will dip real low.
Yeah.
These are going to be like $3 and $5 lands for the first little bit.
Yeah.
But whenever they rotate out, if one dredge deck shows up, then these are in.
Yeah, most definitely. All right, so our next mechanic is kind of a returning. I'm not even going to say favorite because I don't like cards that are like this, and they're really hard to even display on the screen right now. So I'm going to do my best here. But it looks like we're looking at 10 cards right now. We're actually looking at 5 cards. So if you remember playing back during Invasion Block, you had split cards. If you remember back playing in Dragon's Maze, we had split cards that you could fuse. If you remember Kamigawa, you had the up and down. Yeah, you had to actually turn around to make them actually do anything. We had,
Original Ravnica also had them.
Did they? Oh yeah, they did. Yeah. But these are the new versions of the split cards, and so they have a new mechanic that's associated with them. So you cast the first half. So on something like Insult and Injury, you cast Insult first. And it's 2 in a red. Damage can be printed this turn. If a sorcerer controlled, you would deal damage that you control. It deals simple damage instead. Once it's in the graveyard, it begins. You can cast it with the Aftermath, which can only be cast from its graveyard and it's exiled, kind of like Flashback, and it has another effect. And the wording on these is that it's always something to something, blank to blank. X gonna give it to you, if you will. Come on, exhibit guys, come on. All right, so what do you guys?
Sorry, I was failing to.
Wait, did you say exhibit?
Yeah, X is gonna give it to you.
That's DMX.
You're right.
Oh my gosh! No. It's like one of my go-to gym hits.
I have brought shame. I thought that was exhibit. I was not a rap child. I grew up on Christian rock.
I grew up on Christian rock.
Same here.
Continue.
Yeah. All right. So anyway.
Newsboys for the win.
Yeah, right. DC Talk, Jars of Clay. Anyway.
Oh yeah. Toby Mac.
All right, let's not go too far with bros though. What do you guys think about these terrible new split cards?
Well, the design is awful. The design is just. I don't have words for it. However,
I seem to have words for them.
However, I do like some of the card effects. I think Aftermath is a cool ability. I don't know why they didn't have these as flip cards, from Innistrad.
Because then you have to have tokens for them too.
That's fine.
Flip spells? Whoa.
We had one in Shadows.
Did we?
It was blue. Yeah. It was a sorcery, and then it would come back as a creature, and then you'd sacrifice. Yeah.
Start off the week. They mill 13. I mean, so I get the flavor behind the design. So it's vertical on the top because it's standing up and alive. I've tried to explain this to a lot of people. It's standing up and it's alive. It's dead, so whoop, it falls down, and then whenever you cast it, so you can read it, you turn the thing back up, so it's like it's rising from the dead. I get it. The problem is the way it's laid out leaves very little text space, so the spells are very basic, very bland, very boring. Mm-hmm. I was talking about it in San Antonio with some of my friends about how could we have redesigned it. Flip cards was something that was mentioned. What I wanted to see, I would have loved to see a banner artwork in the middle of the card that has living art that fades into death at the bottom part of the art, and then the text above, text below for the living half the spell and the dead half the spell. And they can only cast the living half from your hand, the dead half from the graveyard. But it's still vertical text, and there's only one picture in the middle, so you still have the same space for text.
Interesting.
Also, they could have not had to explain what the awaken, or what is it? Was the word
aftermath?
for?
Yeah,
Aftermath. If they could,
Yeah.
that takes up like 75% of the entire card.
Yeah, it's a lot of
the
text
entire
right there,
card. Yeah, so it's awful. Like I get what they're doing, and I'm all for trying it, but they didn't look at, like, somebody had to have been like, oh, this doesn't look good. But Mark Rosewater probably said something about like, this is the future of cards, I promise. And he made a declarative statement of what thing going on. And so somebody was afraid to say, this looks stupid.
So you don't think he was destined to lead?
Ah, damn it.
Next time I see you, I'm
Hey man, I'm just gonna be making these puns from dusk till dawn. So
straight from the mouth. So I have to say,
it'll bring me.
I love the fact that the mouth to feed makes a hippo token. It's the first
Hungry
ever.
hippo.
Yeah. No. Hippo, isn't he?
Oh,
He's like a hippo wizard.
There's Fiddlegriff. He's Bant colors. He's a group hug commander. But I think he's actually a summon Fiddlegriff or Hippogriff.
Oh yeah, he's a summon.
So I think this is the first occurrence of a hippo in Magic.
We need to fact check this.
Yeah, somebody fact check.
Fiddlegriff made a green hippo. Made a green hippo.
Damn it.
Okay.
I will say the Duskadon might be a one of in my pet deck sideboard.
Okay.
Way too expensive.
Yeah.
That's what. It's kind of why it's a one of, but it loads my hand up for like straight fire.
Yeah.
I'm gonna exile your graveyard in response. All right. Moving on from these terrible, terrible cards. Let's talk about.
But it's okay. You get to keep 2. That's how it works nowadays.
Yeah. Let's talk about some gods, and by proxy also some planeswalkers. So let's just knock these all out here really quick. First up are the gods. We have 5 monocolored gods. They are not shard-colored gods like we were kind of thinking they were, but so far we have had 2 of us revealed: Kefnet the Mindful and Hazaret the Fervent. Sean's rolling his eyes really hard at me right now. So
just go check out the invocation.
Just check out the invocation.
You can't unsee it.
We'll get to that here in a minute.
We don't need taglines on our show. Let's go.
Everybody else is talking about it though. I'm just trying to be popular.
What is everybody else's career field? I don't want to touch that. Let's keep going.
That's fair. All right.
I'll say a lot of cuss words, but I'm not the other stuff.
All right. So all of the gods are probably going to be indestructible. They all have a keyword. Kefnet flies. Hazaret has haste. The green one probably has trample. The white one probably has vigilance, and the black one probably has death touch. If I'm being
that'll be menace.
Menace. There we go. All of them have a requirement though. So on Kefnet, it can only attack or block if you have 7 or more cards in your hand. Hazaret can only attack or block if you have 1 or fewer cards in your hand, and each have an ability that allows you to enable that. Kefnet draws cards and picks up lands, and Hazaret pitches cards, discards them, so for like madness abilities and things like that. What's cool is that these are always creatures. Unlike the Theros gods, which had to have that devotion met to enable them, these are always creatures, so you can actually crew vehicles with them, hence Jesus taking the wheel. It's bad, I have to admit. But I think these are really cool. So what are your guys' thoughts on the gods we've seen so far? I'm going to go to Sean first. What do you think about our new overlords?
They have not replaced the Eldrazi. They probably will be similar play to the Theros gods, as like 1 or 2 ofs in a couple decks, not more. We don't have a Thassa yet who like is warranted playing more than 1 of.
Yeah.
Because so far out of the 2 we've seen, it's pretty restrictive. The red one's pretty cool. 5/4, throw things at your opponent, smash them for 5. Like, she could see a little bit of play. The blue guy in standard is going to be a lot harder to get active and keep active. In older formats, maybe commander. I don't know a lot about commander, but he looks like a big commander, like lead commander guy. But I don't think they're going to be super standard impactful so far. The red one maybe, the blue one almost definitely not.
Yeah. What about you, Steven? What do you think?
I'm really upset because before playing with all the gods in Commander, whenever you attacked, only Heliod tapped because he gives other creatures you control vigilance, right? But now these gods aren't going to even be able to attack together. I'm just done. That's fine.
All right. Anyway.
So much for the God Tribal EDH deck.
What do you think here, Justin, about our new gods?
I mean, like, I think Sean kind of nailed it on the head there. These will be 1 or 2 ofs in some decks. I do think that it's good that you can crew vehicles with them. I mean, other than that,
Justin is shaking his. Oh no, Steven's shaking his head very violently to that statement.
I mean, you don't want to see Hazoret like get down into this little like
Clown cars.
pun car.
Just flavorfully accurate.
I mean, we have to take into account just how big these gods are. I mean, there's a couple of cards that kind of give you some scope, but these gods are like 30 feet tall.
Yeah, I think worship probably
They're
gives the best.
Some of these pyramids.
Well, yeah, I mean, perhaps they can grow and shrink. I don't know.
Oh, makes sense.
I don't know. They're gods that can do whatever the heck they want, honestly.
We're giving a lot of thought to bulk.
Yeah, we really are. So, before we get on to the big talking point of this set, let's touch on Gideon and Liliana here really quickly. Getting to the Trials is a 1 white Planeswalker Gideon, 3 loyalty, +1 until your next turn. Prevent all damage target permanent would deal. So it's permanent. So that's kind of a cool effect there. The 0 ability makes him a 4/4 that can't be destroyed. Usually getting ability. The third ability gives you an emblem that says you cannot lose the game and your opponent cannot win the game as long as you control a Gideon Planeswalker. There are 3 legal Gideons as of Amonkhet. So this guy...
And also that loyalty cost is 0.
It's 0, yeah.
That's important.
Yeah, it's really important here. I have already heard some talk about this guy being played in Vintage and in Legacy.
He's going to be in my sideboard now.
Yeah, being parts of the modern sideboards. So I'm gonna go to Steven here first. So you said it. What do you like about getting the Trials here, and is this guy the truth?
I like the fact that you got to go ad nauseum. Now pay, what is it?
A little bit more.
12 mana to beat. Yeah.
Yep.
Because they have to Angel's Grace ad nauseum, then Lightning Storm Gideon, then Lab. No, they have to pay 13 Lab Man and then draw a card. Yeah.
That's a lot of mana.
It's great.
What about you, Justin? Are you excited about Gideon here?
I really like them. I like in Modern you get to do that at 0, and then you get to do all your packs without any repercussions. So you can be like Pact of Negation, Summoner's Pact, insert Pact here. I just think it's hilarious.
And in response,
they're going to go Abrupt Decay.
Yeah, right.
You're like, you don't have how much blue? How much black? All right.
Abrupt Decay you're getting in response. Oh, man, that's really awkward. Yeah. What about you, Sean?
No, I agree. They're really busted with packs.
Yeah.
At first I was really interested in the deck, and then some people who I trust their opinions a lot say that it's actually pretty average, and there's a lot of pros that aren't big fans of it. He's just not as good as Ally of Zendikar. I don't think he's anywhere close to as powerful as Ally of Zendikar. He's a lot more narrow. He's good so he's a 3-drop. He comes into play. He bubbles a guy, so he kind of protects himself. He attacks for 4, so he can get grasped. The big thing with his 0 emblem, the cool thing is it's an emblem as opposed to a static effect.
Yeah.
So you play him and you get the you can't lose the game emblem. Now every Gideon you play from here on out, you could still proactively use him, and that emblem's just suddenly active again.
Yeah.
So there's gonna be older formats where he's gonna be abusable and things like that. But in standard, I don't think he's as good. And older formats, it still kind of depends on what you're trying to do with him. I think it was in this group that I was talking with, where I was talking about the old Sun Titan Blink deck.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But now if you run Momentary Blink, you could just Gideon, emblem the Gideon, and then you can just attack, and then if they go to kill you, you just Momentary Blink Sun Titan, bringing back this Gideon, and you don't lose the game. So
yeah,
there's definitely some interesting interactions that you can have.
Is it okay if I Moon Mist my Kithion?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Because that works.
Yeah. Yeah, the one thing that just blew my mind was turn 1 Black Lotus in Vintage, cast this guy off of Black Lotus, and I'm not quite sure how they didn't explain it well, but Dredge cannot beat this card because of the emblem. Just can't beat it. So
not in the current stance.
They just attack it, right?
That's what I thought. There's apparently something there's something else that goes on here that says that Gideon just is the truth against Dredge and Vintage right now. I don't know. I don't play enough Vintage or even Vintage, for that matter.
They have to attack for 24, and then they kill it. And they kill you.
Oh,
Yeah, they just hit both.
Yeah, you go to -1 or you go to 0. You don't lose the game, but you can still go negative, and then Gideon dies, and then you do a status check, and you're at 0 or -1 or -1,000, whatever you're at.
Dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it has to do with the fact that like they'll mill themselves out or something. I don't know, but that's not the point. All right, let's move on to Liliana, the Death's Majesty. Good grief. 3 black for 5 loyalty. +1 gets you a 2 black zombie token and 2 cards from your deck into your graveyard. -3 puts a creature from your graveyard, or is it target graveyard or your graveyard? Your graveyard on the battlefield. It's a zombie now. And -7 destroys all non-zombie creatures. Elspeth, this is not. What do you guys think?
Well, I think that a lot of Reanimator spells have a similar mana cost to her.
Yep.
So, I mean, we have a Reanimator spell that also happens to make zombies and load up your graveyard and wrath the field.
So you're saying it's good?
I think it's better than people are giving it credit for. I don't think it's as good as, some of the other Lilianas in the past, but I think it's very powerful.
Yeah. Look at that. Sean, you look convinced. What do you think about it?
I'm like
Death's
torn
Majesty.
on it. I think she's really good. Like, she comes in, she goes to 6, she goes to 7, then she wipes the board. So it's like the third turn she can wipe the board of non-zombies.
Yep.
She doesn't I don't know if she's gonna see a ton of play. Like, people will play her because their name's Liliana, and she'll be cheaper than the other Liliana, so people will play her. But she'll be good. The thing is, I don't know if she replaces Omnixilus if you want a 5-drop Planeswalker, because he gets to just shoot something,
Draws
and instead of giving you 2/2s and graveyard cards, he actually gives you cards.
Yeah.
And his emblem ends the game real fast. So I think she's good, and I think when Omnixilus and the other Liliana are gone, she has a very good chance to be on the format to see play. I think in the current format, there might be white-black control lists that want her. Maybe if they're running Gear Hulks and stuff, they can just bring these Gear Hulks back. She definitely could see play. It just depends on the format. She's not good enough to replace the other guys automatically. It just depends on what kind of decks they are.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah. See, what about you and our new Liliana?
Oh, she's pretty cool. She's basically a strictly better Hyphonia, so that's nice.
Oh, there you go.
Black Mythic from
back from Theros, I think. Yeah. My only gripe with Liliana here, something looks off in her art. I don't know what it is. I think it's the fact that the top half of her, from her waist up, is shadowed because she's being fanned. There's a weird contrasting going on that just doesn't sit right with me. I don't know.
There's something
doesn't seem dark enough, in my opinion. It's too light.
There's something.
She's got all these pale white zombies.
Well, mummies, in this case.
Yeah, I just think that I just think it's that overcast over her top half that just makes it weird. I don't know. It just
there's a canopy over.
What, you're against Liliana? You having a tent?
She's sitting under a canopy.
That's
what are you trying to imply, Alex?
No, I'm not implying anything. I'm saying she can sit wherever the hell she wants to. She's Liliana. I'm not going to tell her you can't sit there, ma'am. Don't sit there. Something in the art just looks a little bit off. That's all I'm going to say. End of conversation. Let's talk.
She also looks like the least falling apart out of all Lilianas. I think She looks the most model-esque as far as a drawing of her goes. Yeah, a lot of times she's real pale. She has cracked skin. This is the most clothed she's been in a good while, even though it's a very hot place.
Yeah.
So
that's probably a very lightweight breathing fabric though. Probably cotton.
I don't know. Or a silk. She is royal.
Probably, yeah.
The touch, the feel.
In this case, given her name, I bet you she looks like that because they probably dealt with the demon on Amonkhet.
Yeah.
She's Death's Majesty, not the demon or whatever.
Oh.
And I also think that demon's going to tie into the area around Amonkhet by Bolas. I think that's going to be his domain.
Okay, cool.
So the other expectation is a good comic book story. We need a turncoat, and so whenever the demon's gone, she might sway to Nicol Bolas' side.
Yeah.
We need a good betrayal from within the team, and she's the only one that story arc lines up for that.
I am all on board with that. Awesome.
And I mean,
thing,
Gideon's gonna die because have you read his emblem?
No.
He's going away.
You think they're gonna pull a Venser?
Yeah,
Oh.
like this is gonna be the last one.
God, I hope
But they're
so.
still
I
gonna
hope
reprint him
so.
later on. They have
Yeah.
Of course. He'll
for
come back.
story.
We're just waiting on Elspeth to come back.
Yeah.
There's something like in D&D, like the best item you can get is Gideon's story plot. Like his protection is just so strong.
Oh god. Alright. Moving on to some very, very shiny yet odd cards. We have the Invocations, which are the masterpieces for Amonkhet. We have 30 of them. And I'm just going to run down the list of them, and then we'll go back again and talk about them. So we've got Hazaret the Fervent, we have Containment Priest, we have Divert, Spell Pierce, Stifle, Austere Command, Aggravated Assault, Entomb, Diabolic Intent, Attrition, Daze, Loyal Retainers, Dark Ritual, Vindicate, Force of Will, Mind Twist, Worship, Cryptic Command, Chain Lightning, Aven Mind Sensor, Counterspell, Consecrated Sphinx, Maelstrom Pulse, Wrath of God with the sickest art ever, Pact of Negation, and Counterbalance, and the remaining gods will also show up as invocations here. I'm going to throw it to Sean here
I'm
first.
surprised you were able to read those so well.
I was too. So just if you're looking at these online, if you've seen them at all, if you haven't looked at these yet, go and look at them and just try and figure out what the hell they say. So I can already tell that Sean's just like, no. What are your thoughts on the invocations here?
A few of them have good art. A few of them have art that I feel like a few of the art is pretty bland. Like I think some of the art's really bland.
Really?
Like underdone.
Okay, all right, that's fair.
The bordering and things like that.
It's really awkward. You're just a guy's crotch.
Right? Like there's some that it's like they're trying to capture grand scales, like that one where like it just doesn't actually convey very well. The Force of Will, like that picture looks really corny. It's just
if
like
Counterspell had the
card. I mean the cards are the
Force
cards
of Will
like,
and Counterspell need to be swapped.
I think like the cards as a whole, the art's pretty good overall, but like some of the bordering is a little weak. I've seen people who like adjusted it and they extended the banners down next to the rules text so it doesn't have that black space above it.
Yeah.
When I first saw it, I was really excited because I thought they had done it in some like actual Arabic or Egyptian translation and like these were actually foreign cards and that would have been super cool instead of this like kindergarten text change
it's
like that you can get on Microsoft
honestly.
Word. Yeah, and I was like, that actually just makes it lame. Like, I would rather it's just been either written in English or done in a foreign, like, Arabic language. But don't do, like, this, like, fake Arabic. Like, it looks dumb.
Yeah, like that. The biggest problem with these is that if you haven't seen them yet, is that the fonts on all of the non-rules text is this weird kind of wing-ding thing that they mix in with what I'm assuming are actual hieroglyphics. And there's a lot of really weird templating going on here. Like it's centered, but it's not centered. The converted mana cost doesn't have color on them. The art is smaller, like you said, Sean. And a lot of these are conveying some very big, grand, fight scenes. It looks like worship. It's displaying like the guys that are like bowing at the feet of this god, and it's like you should be able to see more of that. And it's just weird, and like
there's a few like pact negations. It's really pretty, but
it looks like fantastic.
They look like the sample versions. Like they're like, hey, here's this great because the idea is really cool. It's like here's this great idea. Show us some sketches, and then we'll refine it. And somebody forgot to refine them. Like these were like the first drafts.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like I appreciate them going so far into right field that they kind of are not even in the same stadium anymore. So kudos to them for that, but I think that it's fine to push the envelope, but they have pushed the envelope, I think, just too far in this case. On the creatures, the power and toughness, it's vertically aligned, which is how I believe hieroglyphics are actually read, so that kind of works. Mm-hmm. But there's just a lot of, like I said, if you haven't seen these things yet, go look at them online. They look weird. What do you think about these here, Justin?
Well, I will say, to their credit, as bad as they look online, the videos that we have seen of the actual cards do look a lot better.
Yeah, I will give you that. Yeah.
And then some of the art is, there are some misses. However, there are also some great hits here in the art.
Yeah.
And you're talking about the mana not being communicated in the converted mana cost area or cost area of the card, top right.
Yeah.
Though the card's color is very readable because they have all these banners.
The columns
across
on
the
the
left
side
and
does
right.
help. And that's true, except for the case of the gold
Gold
cards. Maelstrom, Pulse, and Vindicate, they're just gold. So if you
do
can't
have
really
to pay
tell,
closer attention there.
yeah, like there's some missteps that were made here. Yeah. So yeah, what about you, Stephen? What do you think about these?
I think they could have looked a little better. Although, until I actually see one in person, I'm not gonna put my final say on it. I mean, they're masterpieces. They're cool. They're exciting.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it'll be neat.
They are a mixed bag, that's for sure. I want to get your guys' opinion though. Why is Maelstrom Pulse the only green one?
Because green sucks.
Green sucks. All right, that was correct.
Every time there's a good
That's
green
rude.
card in an eternal format, it gets banned.
No, it's fine. We're getting awkwardly Glimpse of Nature in the next set of Invocations. It'll be okay.
Oh, there we go. So maybe Natural Order or something.
Maybe. I mean, it's gonna be the Green Gods little domain area. Like in some of the cards, you can see it's really lush. So I think that's how they're gonna fit in the other green Invocations in this instance.
Yeah, most definitely.
I'm also really excited that Entomb got printed in this one, and then Reanimate's getting in the next one. That'll be fun.
Oh, you're just calling shot now?
Hey, I already called that one, so it's
fair.
gonna be in the next one too. So
Place your bets now. They all look kind of cool. So yeah, I'm whatever. It is a creative decision that I do not think I'd have signed off on myself.
Yeah.
Would have told them to go back to the drawing board. All right, so if you crack these are worth money, congratulations. That's a lot of tickets.
Force of Will is currently sitting at $300 on Star City.
Yeah, well, that's because there's only. And what's cool about these is that some of these, this is the first time foil printing for some of these. Like Force of Will, it's only the third foil version of it. Mind Twist, there is no foil version of it. So that's kind of cool, I think. Attrition, I think, is another one that doesn't have a foil printing. So that's kind of.
And it's the percentages of opening them that gives them the price tag, not necessarily the popularity of the art.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
There's not much percentage of opening these, so if somebody wants to buy this one, then we'll make it this much money.
Yeah.
Well, the rest of them are 50.
Yeah, it's all supply and demand. I mean, you can put a high price tag on these things just because they are very unique. And there are some people out there who I think will just go nuts over these. I want to collect the crap out of them. So they're neat, they're cool, they're fine. But let's move away from these and let's talk about some cards that we are excited to talk about tonight. So we're just going to go around the circle as we usually do and just touch on some cards that we are excited to play with. And I'm going to turn off the picture real quick so I can actually resize this properly. So Justin, we're going to go to you first, and you are excited about...
Yeah, we're skipping one of the cards that I was excited about because we already talked about it.
I don't know. Well, Gideon's fine. We talked about Gideon. We can't talk about Gideon anymore.
Yeah, no, I'm saying we're skipping that one because we already talked about it.
Right.
Anyways, we'll go to Timmet, Visor of Noctamen.
Yes.
Anyways, he's
now
blue
on the
and
screen.
white. Yeah, he's blue-white and he's a bear. He's a 2/2. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature token you control gets +1/+1 until end of turn and can't be blocked this turn.
Yep.
You can embalm him for 3, a blue and a white.
His token looks sick.
It really does. Do you have a picture of the token up
I have
there?
it on the screen right now.
Perfect.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, I mean, he's just a cool guy. I like token strategies, and the white's getting a lot of token love this time around. I'm going to be honest, I misread and thought he was completely OP and said your token creatures get +1/+1. Yeah.
For 2 mana? Get out of here.
Yeah, I mean, we had there was a
Virtue.
card. Yeah, exactly.
Tangible virtue, sure.
Yeah. This card right here, existed.
Yeah.
But
So question for you guys. I'm gonna test y'all's 90s cartoon trivia knowledge here. Do you guys remember a TV show that I believe aired on the UPN, like the UPN 21's kid channel, whatever they call it, called Mummies Alive?
this sounds familiar.
By the strength of Raw, there was the Eagle
My
guy.
mom boycotted everything, so probably not.
Oh, I'm sorry, because this show is pretty dope, and this guy and Timmett here in his mummy form reminds me of their leader, who was like this eagle dude, and they all had like an animal that associated with their mummy power. There was an eagle guy, a snake guy, an ox guy, and then a cat lady. It was a pretty cool show. And that's all I'm gonna say about that.
All right. Well, anyways, Timot's just cool, token pseudo lord. That's really all there is to say about him, unless anyone else wants to add anything.
I think you got it.
Okay.
Yeah,
And
we're gonna go over to Sean now, and I think your first one is Drake Haven on the screen right now. Tell us about Drake Haven.
Drake Haven seems pretty sweet. So there's anytime we cycle a card or discard a card, we can pay one color generic mana and get a 2/2 flying Drake. There's been a lot of cards with like this, like if you do this effect, you can pay one and you can get a token in the past. And those have been okay a lot of times. But this Drake Haven seems really good, especially with the Innistrad set. This blue-red zombies deck makes it where it's like you pay 4 for a Cathartic Reunion, you discard 3 cards, you draw 3 cards, you get 6 power flying in play. Yeah. That's pretty good. Well, I guess, no, you get 4 power flying in play. You have to pay 5 to get the 3 Drakes.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I think it seems really, really strong, especially with the cycling effect. It very well might just end up being like really narrow, but giving these extra values for like your lava axes. I lava axe your dude. I discard this fiery temper. I pay 1. I get a 2/2 Drake. Like that blue-red deck could take advantage of it if it has the ability to take a turn off for this card. Yeah. The blue-red zombies deck has gotten really good because it puts these flying Stitch Wings into play. And so they win a lot of games just by like flying over top of these Stitch Wings and using removal on the opponent's creatures and never really actually going off with like Elder Deep Fiends and stuff. And so that's like their backup plan. Yeah. So this Drake Haven pushes that forward. I think it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, most definitely. Sweet card for sure. Steven, you've got one for us on the screen right now. It has been foretold. Tell us about As Foretold. God, this card's so stupid.
No, this card is awesome.
This card is amazing.
So it's a 2 and a blue enchantment, and it's at the beginning of your upkeep, put a time counter on As Foretold. Mm-hmm. Once each turn, you may pay 0 rather than pay the mana cost for a spell you cast with a converted mana cost X or less, where X is the number of counters on As Foretold. So, you will basically say, I'm going to use As Foretold's ability to cast this spell with CMC 0, 1, 2, etc. And you say that and you play it for 0, which is awesome.
Yes.
And is any spell, so this is creatures, artifacts, enchantments, instant sorceries, planeswalkers, the whole shebang. So it has a lot of potential for abuse.
Each turn.
You can only do it each turn.
Yeah.
But you get your opponent's turn and your turn. So if you're playing with instants, like counter spells, it kind of go ham. Like, I'm really excited for this card in Modern, mainly because the deck that I play, Taking Turns, is just putting this in as an automatic 2-up and calling it a day. It's going to be great. Like, I get to cast my Ancestral Visions the moment I draw them, and then later on I get to start chaining multiple turns, and I can start using my mana to activate Mikoro. I'm thrilled. This card's going to be great.
Yeah, this. I know that you've already talked to our good friend Josh McCurley, who's one of the judges in the Texas area, who thinks this is going to get banned in older formats. I completely agree. We'll see what happens, but this card is just dangerous. I think this is one of the most powerful blue spells they've printed in a very long time. Free spells are good. All of the free spells is better.
I mean, so somebody I was talking to said, can you imagine the deck where you are playing Storm and you untap with this card? Like, you get a storm for free, but then you also get to play this wheel or this like ancestral visions for free. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm still fairly convinced that they're gonna adjust wording and they're gonna they'll do something to fix that. Like,
Yeah.
it's either we ban something or we fix the way that the rules are made on it.
Yeah, most definitely. It's.
I mean, we really ultimately have to wait for the FAQs because they might just clarify it in the FAQs. Because, like, the cards like, Fist of Suns, that's an alternate cost to cast a spell. And if this says it's not an alternate cost, but rather, like, I don't know, they could word this differently to make it so. And
Yeah.
The wording leaves the door open, like,
right?
because the Fist of Suns gives an alternate cost, and this says whenever a spell's on the stack, you can pay this cost. So if they adjust it to say like you can't put spells
but that
without
doesn't
cost,
make sense.
let me finish talking.
Yeah.
If they say you can't put spells without cost on the stack, like that, I don't think that should be a rule to begin with. Like, if I can't pay it, I shouldn't be able to put it on the stack. That's just weird, right? So imagine you're judging a tournament. You're walking around the tournament, and somebody goes, "Oh, I'm going to play this Ancestral Visions from my hand." You immediately, as a judge, have to stop and start watching because that's not something that should be going on.
Yeah.
So just fix it and say, like, that's not something that's allowed, and that fixes this card.
Yeah.
But if it has no casting cost, you can't put on the stack. Not zero, has no cost.
In the instance of, like, that Ancestral Visions, the reason why it can be put on the stack is because there's a rule that says it can't. In this situation, as foretold. Yeah, I know.
I'm saying fix that rule. That's what I said. Like, I didn't say that there isn't a rule for it. I know there's a rule for it.
Yeah.
I'm saying it's a bad rule, and that rule should be fixed. If it has
I think it's fine.
If it has no casting cost whatsoever, it shouldn't go anywhere near the stack unless you're like finding a way to replace its casting cost.
Yeah.
Like, not a zero, a void of a casting cost shouldn't touch the stack unless it has a replacement or it's been suspended.
Yeah.
And it takes care of a lot of these things that they have to be careful designing around.
Yeah. It is worth mentioning that we actually already have had a rules change with this new set coming out. All of the split cards, which originally would say, like turn and burn, which turn is 2 CMC, burn, or it's 3 and 2, whichever one it is. The converted mana cost of those spells is now the combined of the entire spell, unless it's put on the stack with only one half or the other. So just in the same nature of rules being kind of ambiguous now, we're fixing things, and I think that you guys are right about this is going to force a clarification and possibly a rules change of some sort. But
the fixes, I mean, anytime you've had people who are using those kinds of weird ambiguities to their advantage, it's always been for something really broken and unfair.
Yeah,
boom busting.
I just want to play this
all
and
these
draw
few
3
stuff.
cards.
And that's my point. Like,
I mean, can I play this and play a Black Lotus? I mean, come on. I had to do a little bit of setup. Give me a break.
Okay. All right. We're gonna go on to a card.
Luckily, in standard, it's slow. It's very slow in standard.
Yeah, it doesn't do a whole lot, unfortunately.
Like, you don't have 1-drop spells. Maybe you have a couple 2-drop spells. This thing's not
sure,
going
we have
live
a tune with
the
these.
third turn. No, you have a few. I said not many. Like,
we have Traverse the Open. We have Fatal Push.
All right.
We have Magma Spray.
Oh, because
we
we're a
have
5-color
Crafting
deck.
Zipfire.
We're a 5-color deck. That's right.
No, I'm just going
so
through the
Aven
colors
Mind
and
Center is
giving
getting
examples.
reprinted in this set, not just as an invocation. I'm really excited to play with this card because it was originally a $15 uncommon from Feature Site, and it screws with your fetch lands. So I just want to jam this on a deck with four of Mind Sensors, 4 Shadow of Doubt, and just laugh my way as my opponent try to fetch every turn. I'm like, no. You can have 1 card or no.
The only problem in Modern is you're dead to Death Shadow before you have the mana open for either of those spells.
That's also
they already have their 2 lands and they kill you.
Yeah, that's probably true. So, oh well. Even still, sweet reprint, and he's a bird wizard. Rock and roll. All right, Justin, what else you got for us as far as cards you're excited to talk about?
I'll go with Soul Scar Mage. I think this guy's pretty dope. He's 1 red, prowess, human wizard, 1/2. If a source you control would deal non-combat damage to a creature an opponent controls, put that many -1/-1 counters on that creature instead. That's just a little crazy. I mean, I think that this is gonna. I'm not sure if this is gonna be Monastery Swiftspear number 5 and 6, or if you play 4 of this and then 2 Monastery Swiftspears in a blue-red Delver.
Steven's convinced it's not.
But anyways, I like its ability to wither using spells. In a Delver deck, your spells are mainly used for removal, and there's some times where someone slaps down a turn 2 Tassiger that you can't deal with.
Snag. I'm sorry.
All at once.
Hey, if it's a turn 2 Tassiger, their graveyard's gone. They are not delving that thing again for like 3 turns. That's
So you just remand it and say, thank you, have a nice day.
The cool synergy with this card is Pyroclasm. That card's really interesting.
Oh, sick.
Because
Oh
its
my
prowess
God.
triggers, it survives, your opponent's team gets 2 -1/-1 counters.
Wow.
I mean, you can kind of do the same thing in Standard with build your own Radiant Flames.
Yeah.
That's pretty sick.
The prowess makes those kinds of interactions interesting. And like the burn deck, it doesn't have haste, so it's probably not as good in the burn decks as like Swiftspear, but like the ability to block a Goyf, bolt their Goyf, and now their Goyf gets -3/-3, your dude gets prowess, like you probably survived that combat. And that helps a lot. So he's good. The loss of haste, I don't know if this other ability makes it worth it, but more options are never a bad thing.
Oh, yeah. Card is very, very cool, and I like the guy's haircut, personally.
I also like
It's
how he's
just
wielding the Nicholas Bolus horns on his staff.
Did you call it Nicholas Bolus?
Nicol Bolus.
I heard
sorry.
I heard
Nicholas Bolus, get out of here.
I was correcting myself. I'm
no,
sorry.
We don't let that slide around here. I want that mute button again. All right, Sean.
Come on, guys. You can't give him an ultimatum that cruel.
Ah! So brilliant.
So much time of our show, we're wasting.
Justin's just speechless now. All right, Sean, tell me about Glory Bound Initiate.
All right, so Glorybound Initiate's a 2-drop 3/1, normally awful. He's a human warrior. Whenever he attacks, you may exert him. So exert's a may, and it means he doesn't tap next untap step. If you do, he gets +1/+3 and gains lifelink. So he attacks as a 4/4 lifelink on turn 3.
Jesus.
The cool thing is that, so he's human, so he gets pumps from these other Thalias and lieutenants and things like that. The exert mechanic's really be usable if you can blink him, or if you have the way to give him vigilance, like always watching. So if you go like turn 2, if you go like turn 1 drop, doesn't matter what it is. Turn 2 glory bound, turn 3 always watching. Then now you attack with this 5/5 lifelink vigilance guy that gets to block as a 4/2. So it's real tough for them to interact with. He does die ballistas and shocks and things like that, but he's a dangerous card that's definitely worth watching.
Question: when it comes, and this is a rules interaction I'm curious about now. When it comes to vigilance and exert, because exert requires you to tap the creature as it attacks.
No, it doesn't.
No.
It requires it to be declared as exerted when it attacks. It doesn't tap it.
Oh, okay.
So
okay,
it just
right,
misses
right.
on tap step. It's like Stitcher's Graft.
Right. Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
If your opponent then can tap that guy before your next upkeep, he won't untap.
Right.
But he's exerted, and he's sitting there face up exerted, not tapped.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay, that was a...
Yeah, just 99% of the time he's tapped.
Yeah, okay.
Unless you have a vigilance effect.
There you go. And there's also
always watching.
Always watching, and then there's the spell that untaps a creature, and there's that dramatic reversal card that untaps all non-land permanents you control, which would be kind of cool here, I guess, maybe?
Worth noting,
And there's also
Blessed
this
Alliance
like giant
untaps.
engine.
Blessed Alliance. Ooh, yeah. What would you say?
Blessed Alliance untaps. So you can go
Paradox
2-drop,
engine?
3/1.
Yeah.
Get out of here. No, let's talk about real cards. Let's talk about decks that want to play this 4/4, not Paradox Engine. But yeah, Blessed Alliance is like, you sack your Heart of Kieran, I untap this guy. That's pretty good.
That is pretty good, yeah. So this guy's pretty...
Good thing I attacked with this Thraben Inspector.
I'll block. Well, no, I won't block that because it's already sacked. Whatever.
All right, Steven, tell us about Lay Bare the Heart. Besides being just the best name for anything ever. Card's pretty cool.
Okay, so it is 1 and a black sorcery, and it is target a target opponent reveals his or her hand, you choose a non-legendary, non-land card from it. That player discards that card. So it's just a really good discard effect for standard. It's not like Transgress the Mind where it cares about CMC.
Yep.
You won't be able to get Heart of Kirin. Wah.
Yeah.
You can get Planeswalkers with this because technically they're not legendary in like the card itself.
Right.
They just follow the legend rule because they're Planeswalkers.
And there's a very good reason for that, Steven. It's because Planeswalkers have hearts.
Oh, yeah. Sure. Yeah, we're going to lay them bare straight to the graveyard.
Most machines do not have hearts. So I don't know. There's all I know is I just want to go.
Hey, Gonti had an Aether Heart, so.
Right. This is just Kali Ma right here. Indiana Jones, Temple Doom it.
Yeah, but it's a pretty neat effect. It kind of stinks that you can't target yourself because I'm sure there's going to be niche cases playing with Drakehaven and blue-black control that you're going to be like, I really wish I could just target myself and like make a 2/2, but whatever, it's cool.
That's fair. That is fair. So one of the cards I'm excited about seeing a reprint though, it's Essence Scatter. This is a 1 and a blue counter spell that counters only target creature spells. And I think stuff like this is absolutely necessary for standard right now when all of your counter magic starts at 3. And it's unconditional counters, but it's pretty good to have effects like this, especially for limited play. Obviously, Embalm kind of makes this a joke, but I love this card. I think the art is super cool on it. Yeah, Essence Scatter. You guys excited about Essence Scatter coming back?
It depends on the format. Horribly awry, Exile Scrap Heap Scrounger. However, Essence Scatter eats like more things, so this is probably just the better card.
Yeah.
Nice Gear Hulk you got there, bro. It'd be a shame if someone scattered it.
Oh God.
No, that was bad.
That was all right. We're moving on. We're moving
that was
on.
Weak.
We're gonna go to Sean again, and he's gonna tell us.
You guys shattered my hopes and dreams.
God no, Sean, save us with the cat.
All right,
we have
Regal Caracal. It's 3 white for a 3/3 cat. That's important. Pay attention to cat.
Yep.
It says other cats you control get +1/+1 and have lifelink. So it doesn't have lifelink. It doesn't get pumped. And whenever it enters the battlefield, you get 2 1/1 white cat creature tokens with lifelink. So those tokens have lifelink even if this cat dies, which is kind of interesting.
Wait, what?
The cat tokens have lifelink, and then they're granted lifelink again from the Regal.
That's weird.
Wow, they are okay. Yeah.
So it's basically 7 power and 7 toughness for 5 mana. If they answer this, then you have 2 left over. The interesting shenanigans with this, first of all, is Felidar Guardian. That's like the big one. Felidar Guardian is a cat itself. So a lot of the way to interact, one of the big ways to interact with the combo for like green-black decks were Grasp. And so if you slow roll and you play this cat first, and then you play Guardian, Guardian's now a 2/5. If your opponent's tapped out, you can blink this cat, and so now you have 2 more 2/2 tokens. So it has some like really tilted things it can do. The thing I was disappointed with, the first thing I noticed with it was the 2/2 cats kill spider tokens. However, the 3/3 dies to Ishkana, which means that as a person who's grown up with a lot of cats, this cat dies to a spider, and that's never been the case. My cat brought me so many dead spiders growing up. This cat will not bring me a dead spider, and that's unfortunate. But it's a cool blink target. Like, you blink it once, now you have 9 power, and what is it, 8 of it? No.
No, isn't it 11?
No, it's 11 power. It's 11 power.
Yeah, it goes up by 4.
Yeah, so you have 8 power of lifelink. You have 11 power total.
Really, you have 13 because you blinked it. So.
Well, right, you did something to blink it, but
I don't get why. Why didn't they give this the sliver templating and just make it a 2/2 and it's cats you control get +1/+1 and have lifelink? Like, that would have solved the fact that this card doesn't have lifelink itself, which is really weird.
They might not have wanted it to have lifelink. 5 drop to have 7 lifelink play is pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, aggro decks are real boned in those cases. But that same argument.
But I mean, this is 5 mana.
I would have loved to see this be a 2/4 or a 3/4 so it could survive Ishkana and things like that. But
and it could survive Dusk.
Yeah. But I mean,
true,
it is like it's 5 mana, but 5 mana for 7 lifelink just crushes any aggressive deck.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like these red-black aggro decks, if they don't kill you in the first 5 turns, you play this thing and it's over. They have to kill this thing then.
And then they go, still had all these unlicensed disintegration. Your cat get you.
Yeah, that's when it gets poor.
Yeah. It is worth noting that I just looked up all the cats that are available in Magic. There's a lot of cats you could probably play in a cat tribal deck in a EDH.
It's only a little creepy that you're just scrolling through pictures of cats. That's fine.
One of my buddies has
What else
a
is the internet
collection
for?
of the black cats from Innistrad.
Oh yeah, Innistrad block. Yeah. Black
Yeah,
Cat is great.
yeah, just black cat. He has like 30 foil black cats. It's weird.
Why?
That's interesting.
It's just his collection.
That's
And he's
fair.
probably going to start collecting these sacred cats. So,
Hey, power to him. But
yeah, he's a cool dude.
hopefully we don't have to cast out those cats. Steven, tell me about cast out.
Yes. No, I changed my answer
Well, I thought you
on
didn't change
the
your
last
answer.
card I want to talk about.
What?
Yeah, Sean
Yeah,
convinced me.
because he was a
I
coward.
forgot about it.
All right.
I
What
forgot
do you
about
want
it.
to talk about instead? I missed it. I'm sorry.
I would like to talk about Oracle's Vault.
Oh, jeez. All right, let me find
So-
it real quick.
What? Oh,
Artifact.
calm down. This is going to be in a control deck. Anyway, this is a 4-mana artifact. It is 2, tap it, exile the top card of your library. Until end of turn, you may play that card, put a brick counter on Oracle's Vault. So
Brick
something to
counter.
note, this is you may play that card, so this includes lands, whereas Chandra's plus is you may cast. So that's a little bit of a... I
And
guess-
you don't actually have to play it to get the brick counter.
Correct, you do not. Yep.
I expected it to have to be playable. No, you just let it go.
Yep. But then it has this other clause, which is really sweet, and it's tap, exile the top card of your library. Until end of turn, you may play that card without paying its mana cost. Activate this ability only if there are 3 or more brick counters on Oracle's Vault. So if y'all are sensing a trend here, I really don't like paying mana costs, and I just
No.
like whenever spells say, you know what, you got this one. So I'm pretty excited about this because I'm sure there's going to be some like janky miracle thing you can put together with Oracle's Vault and Paradox Engine, and it'll just be kind of
Most
fun.
definitely. Yeah. I always like looking at, so whenever you're on Myth Explorer, it always gives you cards that are like this card, and it shows you Outpost Siege, Temporal Aperture, and Ice Cauldron. And I don't know if you guys have ever read Ice Cauldron.
Ice Cauldron is cool.
It is probably the most poorly templated card ever. Do you guys know what Ice Cauldron does?
Have you read the rules text for it? Like,
Should we bust out Ice Cauldron real quick here, Steven?
no. That card would take too long to
All
explain.
right. It
This
is a-
card has a book on it.
It does because it's an
Oh my
old
God.
card.
Yeah, we'll talk about that one later.
Oh, look, like if you go to Gatherer and look at the explanation of how this card actually works, it's like even longer. It's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, not a very well designed card, I don't think. All right, so another card that I'm excited. I'm not excited to play with this card. I don't think it's a particularly good card either, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. And this is Prowling Serpapard. Serpapard. This is a 1 green creature cat snake. So we had the Wily Bandar from Kaladesh, and now we have this guy. It's a 4/3, can't be countered, and creature spells you control cannot be countered. If I look at this, I see this as a completely generic 3-mana 4/3. The counter spells in the format right now just don't matter enough to make that text actually worth a damn. So
Oh, someone's gonna forget it. Don't
well,
worry.
There,
Well, I mean-
there is tower decks. Like
Right.
those decks have a lot of counters.
like all the people I've listened to a lot of podcasts already this week about this, and they've talked about this card, and apparently the pros are just saying that this card is not that good, and I'm inclined to kind of believe them. Actually, I don't think it's that great. But if
A
people,
3-drop 4/3. Like
I mean, the stats are insane. Don't get me wrong about that, but just all that extra text on there, it might as well be blank. That's.
I really wish seen the like artist direction like explanation whenever
doubt.
they're like, I have to draw what? It's a what?
So,
I mean, but this card, like, imagine the cat combo. Like, the tower decks don't have a ton of removal to interact with the cat combo. So you play this,
Yeah,
and then
that's
now
actually true.
you resolve your cat, and it's like there's definitely plays where this makes things awkward.
Yeah, and it really does. There was a really funny comment made by Evan Norman in his Magic Mike's podcast about this thing, and apparently this is the product of Momir Vig, who was the Simic guy from Ravnica, who has a Spark now and has gone around to different planes and is just mashing things up. So we had the Wily Bandar, we have the Serpapod, and it's literally just going to be eventually Jason's going to show up on a plane and he's going to see, Cat Shark and just go, what the hell, guys? Seriously? This is what we're dealing with now? Side note. Anyway. Sean's just not amused by it right now.
I think for them to print a card with that text on it, I think they're going to print better counterspells.
Maybe? Steven's
Sorry.
lost it. He's got
I have to
mobile.
get to the battery.
Oh, no. Get to observe Steven's apartment from a closer angle now.
All good.
Oh, goodness.
But that was my first thought when I saw this card was they must be printing better counterspells in Modern than they have. Sorry, in Standard than they have in a long time.
Yeah, it's certainly possible a sign of things to come, but as it stands right now, this card's just kind of...
Yeah.
I'm not that crazy about it. It dies
I
way
don't-
too easily.
I don't think it necessarily needs any other counterspells. Disallow is already a pretty good counterspell, and now we have
yeah.
Essence Scatter. So this literally negates the Essence Scatter.
Yeah.
I think it's just a good card. Like a 3-drop 4/3 is fine. Occasionally the upside's gonna matter, and sometimes it's just a 3-drop 4/3.
Yeah.
So you might run a couple. Normally you'll be a sideboard like 2 of, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, that's cool. And Cat Snake is absolutely terrifying. I mean, just creepy. But
Yeah.
that's it for cards that we're excited about. Justin, you only had 2 because I talked about Gideon already. Did you have a third one you wanted to bring up really briefly here before we break for the night?
Sure. I guess I'll talk about Watchers of the Dead and
Which one is that? I have no idea what that card is.
it's an artifact.
Oh, that thing. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So I think this is just really cool because it's the first graveyard hate we've seen since, gosh, I think Cons had some really bad graveyard hate.
Cranial Archive.
But yeah, I mean, like other than that, I mean, we haven't seen graveyard hate in a long time. So, Watchers of the Dead, it's kind of nice to see, like, with all these Delirium decks and Reanimator decks being talked about, like this, and then the black 1-mana card, just being able to actually fight those decks instead of just being like, well, I hope I can outrace what you're doing.
Yeah, and we've got that Scarab Feast, which is a single black mana. Instant speed exiles 3 target cards from a target graveyard and can cycle itself. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think it's about time we've got some decent graveyard hate here. So I'm all for it.
So yeah, I mean, for those that aren't familiar, Watchers of the Dead is a 2-mana artifact creature cat, and it's 2/2. Exile Watchers of the Dead. Each opponent, so your graveyard is immune to this, chooses 2 cards in his or her graveyard, exiles the rest.
The only awkward part with it is like artifact creatures make this card really awkward because they choose like land, artifact creature, and exile the rest, and they still have a Delirium of 3, and they just have to find a way to put another spell in the graveyard.
Yeah.
Which sucks. Like, but there's not really a better way to fix it. It's still better than nothing. And we still have the Scarab Feast. Ishkana is like, if Ishkana is like slightly less consistent at making spiders, that's always cool.
Yeah. Most definitely. So I would say that Amonkhet is looking very, very cool. It seems like just yesterday we were talking about Aether Revolts, and like the speed at which that comes out is a little bit ridiculous if you ask me, but that's just my opinion of it.
Great. It's always spoiler season.
That is actually very true. You literally cannot go a week without getting some kind of spoiler being brought to your attention, whether it's a leak, an official spoiler, or a full-blown product announcement. So, whatever. So yeah, I'm excited to see the rest of the set. I hope we get to see all the rest of the gods very soon. I hope we get to see Nicol Bolas show up for this set. I'm assuming that we will, because we get 3 planeswalkers usually for the first set of a block. So hopefully we get to see him very, very soon. Maybe tomorrow. Friday's a good day to show off a big dragon god. But I'm super excited. I would say that you guys are excited as well for Amonkhet.
Yeah.
Excellent. So next week, more spoilers. As long as none of us is traveling, God forbid. More spoilers, more really bad puns, and more silencing Justin for something silly that he said.
I mean, I wasn't the one making puns about Cast Out.
We added like
30
30 minutes to this thing because of someone's puns.
Yeah, well, Steven and I can do our own episode then. It'll be just
Is Steven up or down or to the side? Where am I looking?
He's beneath you.
That's for YouTube.
Wow.
It's for YouTube. Don't worry about it.
I'm glad I was looking at the camera.
There's nothing.
That's
there's
gonna have to
nothing
be
else going on.
censored.
Oh man,
It's just for YouTube.
I can put
We're
some.
fine on cast.
I can put some
We're
grain
fine on
up there.
MTG.
Wait, he's over here.
They don't have like ratings on YouTube. It's fine.
That's fine. All right. So
We just can't get, with the new YouTube movements. We just can't get sponsorships anymore. That's fine.
that's fine. It's
Hashtag
not about the money. It's about the magic.
What? It wasn't about the money.
No.
Yeah, like from day one, every time you brought up a Patreon, Sean's like, yeah, we get paid to do.
Hey, let's go! Come on,
I'm
50 cents a month. I'll take it.
I'm working on. Are you gonna contribute to that fund?
Huh?
Are you gonna contribute?
Am I gonna contribute? I'm gonna pay 50 cents to get paid 50 cents.
No, you pay 50 cents.
Well, no, it gets
paid nothing.
split,
This
right?
is lunacy.
All right, so be sure to check us out every week over on the mtgcast.com, along with other great podcasts, Brainstorm Brewery, Monday Night Magic, Critical Considerations, I think is what they're called. I forget. Check us out over on YouTube. You can watch all of the past video episodes. You can watch me playing some Eternal, opening a box of Modern Masters, and find us on Facebook, or just look for the EOT Newsflash. Find us on Twitter at EOT Newsflash. EOTnewsflash@gmail.com to send all of your ideas for Sean to make money from this project of ours.
Yes.
And I'm going to let Steven say it because... oh, no. Steven,
right across.
Steven, say the line. Say the line. Just say the line.
Let's do it again.
Good night, everybody.